Coming up on Tech News Today, Leo and Brian tell us all about what's going on from E3 with Nintendo, Sony, Valve, and more. Find out why Sarah has given up on the iPhone 4 and why none of it matters because we all may be wiped out in a great solar storm. All that and more coming up.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust. This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Tuesday, June 15th, 2010. Tech News Today is brought to you by Ford and voice-activated sync, featuring true hands-free calling, turn-by-turn directions, 911 assist, and more. Available exclusively on Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury vehicles. For more details, visit syncmyridepodcast.com. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
And I'm Sarah Lane.
Behind the board is our producer, John Slanina, a.k.a. Jammer B. And out there in La La Land, Los Angeles, is Leo Laporte at E3. Hey, Leo.
Hey, Tom. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Jammer B.
Hey, Leo. How's it going on?
Oh, don't tell me Skype failed right at that last
No. You're there. You're good.
We can hear you.
We have been following your adventures around the E3 show floor.
It's been a lot of fun. This is a great conference. I want to come back here again. I mean, it's not really, right up my alley. I like to play games. We rule Farmville. I didn't see a lot of Farmville.
You didn't see a lot of Farmville there, huh?
No, it's very disappointing. However, it is a very fun show. It's very visual. There's big screens. There's booming bass subwoofers. There's a lot of excitement. This is, they call it the Electronic Entertainment Expo, and it really is an entertainment event. And that's what you get. We cover the tech world, which can sometimes be a little dry, a little dull, and we like it, but it's not kind of the general public. This is much more the general public. This feels like Hollywood.
There are some gadgets involved, though. There's a little bit of crossover. Nintendo today unveiled the 3DS. No glasses required. Did you get a chance to see it?
We didn't. There was a very, very long line to get into that. There was a lot of interest in it. It uses, as I understand, something called lenticular 3D, which means you have to look at precisely the right angle. You're never going to see this on a TV because only one person at a time can look at that screen on a TV. That means you wouldn't be able to watch with anybody, but it's fine for a handheld device. They did release, announce a number of titles that will take advantage of this 3D, but I thought the thing that was most interesting is you can use it as a personal video device. You can watch 3D movies like Avatar on the Nintendo DS. Now, I don't think traditionally these don't have the greatest screens. They're certainly not high def, but if you're buying into the whole 3D hype and you want to watch 3D content or play 3D games, this is an inexpensive way. You can do it in a handheld device.
Yeah, that's right. They got the right partners, too. Disney, DreamWorks, and Warner Brothers. And the films that I think are all most fun in 3D are usually the animated films. So getting DreamWorks, I think, is a smart idea.
Yeah, this is the kids' device for the most part. And I think that this quality is going to be acceptable to kids. But if you're a videophile, don't hold your breath. This isn't the holy grail, the glasses-free 3D that everybody's wanting. You don't need glasses, true, but you have to hold it just right to get a 3D effect, and it isn't that realistic.
And the Nintendo games carry out a theme that we've been seeing through E3, which is nothing is new again. We're seeing a side-scrolling 2D Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
We're seeing another Legend of Zelda. This is the first one built for the ground up for the Wii, called Skyward Sword. They're also bringing back Kirby and Mario. Nothing's really new under the sun, although these look like fun games.
The real disappointment to me was that Nintendo didn't announce an update for the Wii. The Wii of the three big consoles is the only one that doesn't do high def. But it's oddly enough, it's really the dominant console here. It's the one everybody else is copying. It's still selling very, very well. But I felt like it might be a good time for Nintendo to solidify its position as number one by putting out a high def or at least a higher quality console. Like Microsoft and Sony, I guess they feel like they still haven't milked every last drop out of their existing platform that didn't update it.
Right. Instead, we get Daniel Craig added to GoldenEye, which makes it new.
Now, you know, in 3D, those ears that stick out, they're going to look amazing.
Yeah. Also, on the 3D beat with Sony, they've got 20 titles created natively in 3D. They'll be out by March 2011. But those are with glasses, right?
Yeah, and you probably have to have a 3D display as well. Sony does, you know, Blu-ray. Blu-ray immediately announced support for 3D TVs with a Blu-ray player. I don't know, but my guess would be you'd have to have a 3D TV already, 3D capable TV already, and then
they say these. Yeah, they say these games will work really well with a Bravia.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? And Sony brand glasses.
We also got some more details on the Move. That's the motion control hardware. Move will retail for $49.99, so $50. If you want the optional navigation controller, that's an extra $30. They're going to sell a bundle of the Move with Sports Champions, a Move game, for $99.99. Or if you don't have a PlayStation and you want to get the Move and Champions and the whole bundle, it'll be $400. Coming to the Europe in September 15th this year, and coming to North America September 19th. Did you get a chance to play with the Move at least?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't get to play with that either.
They didn't let you play with anything.
They announced that this morning, and we were busy getting set up. No, what your problem is, we were running around, and you have to wait in line. It's like going to Disneyland. You got to wait in line to do any of the really good rides. So basically, we were doing Mission to Mars all day.
Yeah, exactly. You're also, they announced PSN Plus. You'll get what they say are hundreds of dollars of products throughout the year for $50. So regular PlayStation Network is staying exactly the way it is, but if you pay the extra $50 or 3 months for $18, you'll get a bunch of access to free downloadable content, game previews that you wouldn't get otherwise. The Core Show with Veronica Belmont will be on there, and they're also offering 3 months free, and a bunch of games. Twisted Metal Online with Warring Factions and Creepy Clowns, Killzone 3, which is one of the 3D titles that looks the most impressive in that 3D area, God of War Ghost of Sparta for PSP, Little Big Planet 2, Dead Space 2, and Portal 2. You guys got to talk to the Valve folks, didn't you?
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. I mean, I'm a big Portal fan, and what this is essentially Steam coming to Sony. So if you're a Steam gamer, now you can play Steam on PCs, of course, but also on Macs. Sony, there's even a rumor of Linux. This is a very good move for Valve. It means that the games that are written for the Valve platform play on, you know, almost everything. That's a huge move. Steam has traditionally been a PC gamer's dream. Now maybe it'll also catch on in the consoles. But I do have to point out that Sony is playing catch-up here. They're playing with their controllers. They're playing catch-up with Nintendo. With PSN, they're playing catch-up with Microsoft. I didn't see anything except Microsoft Connect that might make somebody go to the store and buy a new device. All of this is just keeping parity with the existing devices. Nothing Sony did today made me say, oh, if I've got to get a PS3.
Yeah, I was underwhelmed by the hardware on Sony. The Move looks fine. It looks like it's a decent device, and it'll be fun to play with if you have a Sony PS3. You probably ought to pick one up. But it's, like you say, not going to make you go buy a PS3. The 3DS from Nintendo, I think, is something that I will be tempted to go out and pick up. And definitely Kinect is something that I'm going to buy. So I don't know. What do you think? Does Microsoft win this round of E3?
Well, the Nintendo 3DS has been a huge seller anyway. I mean, this is a very, very strong platform. This just keeps them. This freshens it. It keeps them. When I first heard about it, I kind of had memories of Virtual Boy, and I thought, oh no, is this another, that Game Boy Virtual Boy was terrible, it was horrible, and so I was a little worried that this was yet another kind of crazy Japanese product looking for a market that didn't exist. It remains to be seen. It does freshen up this line. There's still the old Nintendo DS, a new, bigger Nintendo DS for grown-ups. This is a very hot category. But I do think that Microsoft Connect was the only really innovative announcement here at E3. And, it's pretty fun. I did play with that one, and it's pretty cool. All of these, both Connect and the Nintendo Wiimote and, of course, the Sony Move, have a high embarrassment factor. You got to be doing this with your friends and family. I was watching people dancing with the Move, and, you really look like a complete dork when you're doing this thing. And so if it's if it's not in the privacy of your own home or with close family and friends, I think that's frankly that's a little bit of a negative. I think people might look at the Move or the Connect and say, well, I don't really want to look like the dork. If you're willing to look like a dork, let me tell you, it is a lot more fun. I always like the Wiimotes. I think the Move is a Wiimote on steroids, but I think Connect is really the one to beat at this point because you don't need any hardware. It does things like face recognition, body part recognition. It's pretty sophisticated, and I think they're going to have some very interesting games, including a new LucasArts title, Star Wars title with a lightsaber and things like that. That should be a lot of fun to play.
I think on the games side of thing, it's a lot closer. The Zelda game from Nintendo looked really good to me. I'm a huge Zelda fan. Killzone 3 and Twisted Metal looked incredible from Sony. And Metal Gear Solid, which is also on the PS3, is one of the best games I saw on Xbox. So I might give the nod to Sony on the gaming side of things versus the hardware side of things. They've got some strong titles coming out.
I agree. But again, it used to be the thought was the titles sell the console hardware. I don't think it's that way anymore. I think they choose a console, and then they just hope that the titles come out that are going to keep them happy with the console. And really serious gamers might even have more than one console. They might have all 3 consoles in some cases. So they're happy to see these titles come out, but I don't think it makes a big difference in sales.
Now, the other thing that you guys got to take a look at on the show floor was OnLive. This is the service that's going to launch. Well, it's launching, right?
It launches on Thursday, and it's free for the first year. I'm going to bring Brian Brushwood over to talk about that. Brian's also here with us, and let him tell you about OnLive because he knows quite a bit about it. Brian Brushwood, the host of NSFW and Scam School. Wait a minute now.
I know. Can you do it?
We're going to do something that's never been done on Tech News Today before, a live headset switch. To
Will
Brian
they fit
Brushwood
on his hair?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
You got to work around it. They'll all get back in shape. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great, Brian. So I'm extraordinarily jealous of you right now because you got a chance to put your hands on the OnLive setup and play with it. Now, explain a little bit of what OnLive is and how it works.
Yeah, for those who don't know, OnLive is a way to bring high-end PC gaming experience with little or no hardware at all. And if you were watching the stream, they sell their own units that it's basically got 3 ports. You got power, you got your HDMI, and then you've got your network connection, and it uses some kind of wizardry where essentially what you're seeing is not the actual game itself, but you're seeing a very low latency movie of the game being rendered on servers off in the cloud. Now, we were a little bit skeptical at first. When the games looked so good, we wondered if the servers were here local, if this was a simulation of how it looked. But they assured us that what we were seeing was actually being rendered on their servers in the cloud. And, of course, the biggest question I had was whether or not it would be high latency, whether or not it would feel like you'd move right, and then a couple seconds later you kind of herky-jerky move right. But it was very impressive. I think if I had a side-by-side comparison, I would definitely notice the difference between the two. It felt a little bit soupy where you would pull the trigger and it pretty much went at the same time, but I have the feeling that you would get past that very quickly and it would become a very natural gaming experience.
Of course, that's in an ideal situation. When it launches and you're playing out in the real world with a bunch of other people trying to play the games at the same time, it's going to be a whole different matter. They say they've been working with Dell to beef up their servers to be able to handle the bandwidth. Did you get a chance to talk to them about any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, they were very insistent that they could handle the traffic, that what we were getting was going to be the actual experience, and if it is, then I think it's certainly worth it. That's one of the problems is, especially, I think they're the right idea at the right time because everything goes in waves as far as hardware. Whenever the new console generation comes out, everyone declares PC gaming's dead because you got this unified platform and people are able to get as much as possible out of the hardware. But then, as the consoles age, PC gaming creeps back up, and right now we're in one of those phases. A lot of these consoles have been out for 5 years or more, and instead of seeing a new generation of consoles, what we're seeing are these toys being added, stuff like the Move or Connect. And so now's the opportunity where PC gaming is going to look much, much better visually, graphically than its counterparts. And if PC gaming does well, then OnLive could be the bridge that allows people to get that highest end experience at home.
Are you going to sign up?
I will give it a try. I think there's a lot of different opportunities, and we're joined by Alex Albrecht and the entire Totally Rad Show crew. Just walked by.
what happens.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we've got Alex, we've got Danny TRS.
I screwed up G4's audio. We went in there with wireless mic because they said we want to do an interview. You got to interview one of our editors. So we went there and we brought down the whole thing. All of their mics stopped working. They were getting our audio.
I love it.
Straight out of Spinal Tap. They were getting our audio and all of their audio. Yes.
Horrible.
Yeah.
We're running to Nintendo.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll see you guys over there. Yeah, by the way, it is really a small world. Everybody it recognizes everyone out here, and I don't want to rub it in your face, Tom, but this is the most fun E3's ever been for me.
I'm glad you're having a good time, Brian.
We're holding down the fort here in the cottage.
we're having a great time back here
today.
Yeah. I listened to the dog bark across the street.
There's a dog that barks a lot up here in Petaluma.
That's a good time. So.
I guess you guys will probably go to a party later.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. All right. Well,
some events.
Thanks, Brian. Any other impressions from the show floor before we wrap up the E3 segment of TNT today?
Yeah, there's a lot to see. I don't know if Leo talked about Rock Band 3 at all, but a really interesting move they're doing with the Pro mode. First of all, they're adding a new controller. It's a 25-key keyboard, an actual keyboard. And I don't know if I've seen the list of songs that they're playing, but all of the keyboard parts, you're playing the actual notes when you play Pro mode. So you're actually learning the keyboard parts to the song. Same thing with their Pro controller based on the Fender Stratocaster. It's got, I believe, 100+ buttons, and all of the buttons are thin and feel like individual strings. And there are strings that you have to pluck individually. So in the Pro mode, you actually have to form the chords. You actually have to strum or play the individual strings. Rock Band 3 appears to be trying to bridge the gap between being a rhythm game and becoming an actual rocking simulator that'll train you how to play the games. And that's the other thing, is word is that they're going to upgrade all of the back catalog, 1,500+ songs, in order to go with Pro mode so you can actually learn the guitar parts for all of those songs.
So all those snarky T-shirts about Rock Band will be obsolete after this comes out.
And it's funny because everyone's like, if you're going to spend all that effort, why don't you learn how to play a real instrument? Well, guess what, Grandpa? That's exactly what we're doing now.
But Cuba to you. We're learning.
Cuba!
All right, well, thanks, Schwood. We're going to let you guys go. You've been working hard and great coverage this week. It was really fun watching you guys work.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. It was very intense. 3 hours is an awful lot, but I think we did a good job of catching all the highlights.
Microsoft Office 2010 hits the store shelves today. I'm sure that's big news at E3. Everybody out there is probably raving about Office 2010, right?
Yeah, I have not had the great pleasure of downloading or otherwise playing around with Office 2010. Is there some big feature I should know about that'll get me off Google Docs, Tom?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you know what? The big thing everyone's talking about is the integration with Office.com, with Docs.com, the ability to collaborate online and then save those into Office and edit them within Office. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things that it's sort of like a lot of what people like about Google Docs and the ability to collaborate online, but some people really do prefer, I don't know if it's because it's just old habits die hard or... Yeah, Google Docs is, at least for me, it is sort of my doc of choice.
This gives you the best of both worlds. Yeah, you can do the online collaboration, but then you can also use the more powerful Office suite. So it's out today, store shelves. The Home and Student Edition is $149. Home and Business $279. Standard version is volume licensing, so that gets in the whole enterprise thing. But $150 or $280 depending on which one you want. Basically, whether you want Outlook or not. If you want Outlook, it's going to be $280. If you don't, $150.
I'll stick with Gmail and text edit.
And you Office 2010 enthusiasts out there, be proud.
Yeah,
say it loud.
You got a new version.
Enjoy your day.
Best of luck.
All right. Today's show is brought to you by our good friends at Ford and voice-activated sync. If you are a multitasker, you got a long commute, and you don't want to break the law or get in a wreck, it's challenging, right? You've got a lot of stuff that you might want to do. You can send text messages, play your music, switch to an audiobook, check the radio station, and voice-activated sync allows you to do all of that stuff without taking your hands off the wheel.
So you kind of don't break the law while you're having your fun.
It does help you with that. You get true hands-free calling, turn-by-turn directions, 911 assist, and more. I was driving around with Leo in it the other day, and we just kind of headed out of Petaluma, and he was showing me all the options, and it was amazing how much stuff he never took his eyes off the road. How much stuff he was able to demonstrate. He made a Bluetooth call, then he switched over to some music. Then he said, "Oh, I want to show you the girl with the dragon tattoo I'm listening to," and just talk to the car. The car does what he wants. Sync is available exclusively on Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury vehicles. Listens to your voice so you can do all of these great things safely while you're driving. Even gives you personalized traffic alerts, knows your route, and sends you traffic alerts while you're driving. It hooks up with your mobile phone. You can plug in most any standard Bluetooth media player. It's just very impressive to see it in action. So check it out at your local Ford dealer, and you can get it for yourself, try it for yourself, and see what's going on with Ford Sync. You just say stuff. You say play artist, play genre.
Well, it makes Leo look cool also.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got a red Mustang and Ford Sync. He's cool.
There's nothing not cool about Leo, that's for sure.
Finally, he's achieved cool status.
Yes, exactly.
Good on you, Laporte. Good on you.
So check it out, Ford Sync, available at syncmyridepodcast.com if you want more information. Let's move on to AT&T. They are sold out of iPhone 4 pre-orders for launch day.
You know, it's funny because we're not at E3, and I'm trying to contain my jealousy. At first I went, it's just, they got to get up all early in the morning for all these press conferences and blah, blah, blah. But now, I've got a little bit of a green monster going on. However, this week is chock full of other cool stuff like iPhone 4 pre-orders. Now, I have a little bit of a problem with the whole iPhone pre-order nonsense. Number one, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Pre-orders only available in black. If you want a black iPhone,
that's right.
Great, wonderful. You already pre-ordered yours.
Yes, I did. But
which was apparently a lot easier if you go through the Apple Store app on the iPhone.
They had a lot of trouble this morning because they were getting swamped online. I wasn't able to do it from home. But then when I got to work, I downloaded the Apple Store app, which launched today.
Right.
I was able to reserve it, no problem.
So the Apple Store app you download through the App Store on your iPhone.
Exactly.
Can you buy iPhone apps through the Apple Store app?
No, you buy iPhone apps through the App Store, not the Apple Store.
Oh, okay.
Apple Store is for Apple products, not apps.
This is a semantic argument.
This is turning into an Abbott and Costello routine.
Who's on app? But what's funny is, so at midnight, all the fanboys are trying to pre-order their iPhones, and people are complaining, the store's down, it's taking 30 minutes, they're getting timeout, errors. Turns out that at the same time, Apple has quietly rolled out a new line of Mac Minis, which have been not only sort of beautified and smallified. Now you don't have your external power supply. Everything's kind of integrated. But they have HDMI ports, which is kind of that whole, Sarah, maybe you should cancel your cable service push that I feel that I've
You're just giving up on the iPhone. You're like, you know what? The Mac Mini looks cooler to me. I'm going to get one of those.
Well, first of all, I want a white iPhone. I know it's not the end of the world to have a black one, but I kind of have my heart set on the Stormtrooper version. So I figure, hey, I'll let everyone else do their whole pre-order thing, and I'll let maybe the fanfare die down a little bit, and I'll get my phone eventually. I'm not in a big hurry anyway because it's still a $200 upgrade for me. But
and you're going to have to wait for it anyway. AT&T's statement says, because of the incredible interest in iPhone 4, today was the busiest online sales day in AT&T history. As of Tuesday afternoon, customers who pre-order iPhone 4 moving forward will receive their devices on June 25th or later.
Okay.
So you're not going to get it on day one.
No.
Depending on when the order is placed, you'll go into a queue, and they'll email customers with confirmation once their order is placed, and again when it ships. In addition, we will have devices available on a first-come, first-served basis in the stores on June 24th.
Well, I guess I'll just have to wait around then. And
yeah.
There's really no point in me getting myself in a queue for a black phone I don't want.
You know what? It doesn't matter.
What, the color?
No, getting it the first day.
Like, Tom, color matters.
You're going to wait around anyway.
Color means everything, Tom.
Yes. Oh, believe me, I would
Means
never.
a lot more
I
than
would
service.
never mean to suggest otherwise.
Full bars doesn't matter. Doesn't match.
Is it matching my shoes?
But
are my curtains and my drapes matched?
Curtains and drapes, carpets and rugs.
So there you go. Mac Mini got Sarah more excited than the iPhone.
Mac Mini got Sarah more excited because, so I've already sort of talked myself down off of this iPhone ledge. I'm not getting an iPhone right away. Yes, I would like one, but it's just not in the cards for me at this time. But what I have been sort of ruminating over for a long time is, do I need to pay my $80 or whatever it is? I split it with my landlord. Cable service that I'm paying every month. And it's just, it's not as if the Mac Mini is the first way that I could get content onto my television.
But this is
it's
what's kind of pushing you over the edge, huh?
But it's kind of the coolest option that I feel I have right now.
The form factor is now the same as the Apple TV.
Yeah.
And it's got a little juiced up insides, right?
It's got a little juiced up insides, and so it's smaller. It's just kind of cleaner.
They added the 320M NVIDIA graphics card. The same one that's in the MacBook, the lower end one that's in the MacBook now in the Mac Mini.
Right. So they've got HDTV. You can hook up to an HDTV. It's funny. I said I was reading HDMI and I read HDTV. A mini display port, built-in SD card slot so you can grab photos and videos, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people online are kind of going like, Apple, WTF, no Blu-ray. But I don't think that is a real surprise to anyone.
No.
I mean, if they were to include a Blu-ray drive, I mean, that would have been...
You can get high-def movies and TV shows from the iTunes Store. Why would you need Blu-ray?
Well, Blu-ray folks, some of them anyway, claim that the HD versions for the iTunes Store just aren't good enough.
Well, but
if
you're Apple, they're wrong.
Right, exactly. I personally, and don't call me a fangirl or call me a fangirl, I don't really care, but I personally find the HD movies that I stream over the internet just lovely.
If it had a Blu-ray drive, I would say it would start to get the upper hand in.
It would become the perfect
your media center device because it's the right form factor. It slips in under the TV nicely. It's got the front row interface, so you can control it with a remote or with a universal remote. I actually use the Apple TV quite a bit. The only negative on the Apple TV is it's limited to iTunes content. The Mac Mini's not.
Right.
Mac Mini, you can actually watch all kinds of different content.
Right. Well, it's sort of everything that the Apple TV. A lot of people wish that the Apple TV was in the beginning. So now we just have to get used to, if we cancel our cable service, Tom, we have to get used to not participating on Twitter when really cool live things happen on TV that we're not watching.
Right. Well, you could get over the air. You could get over the air antenna, and then you can say
for network stuff.
I'm on Twitter.
Not just for anything.
Oh wait, it's a fail whale.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been down a lot, but they've added more context for your tweets these days.
Yeah, so Twitter, it's funny. So yesterday, I'm starting to notice people tweeting things like, first tweet from Revision 3 and first tweet from Dig, and I don't really understand what they're talking about. What do you mean first tweet? It turns out it's in the metadata, the same little gray area that you see, if you're actually looking at twitter.com version, that says, Ryan tweeted something 2 minutes ago via TweetDeck. Now, if he would have turned on location, it would have then, Twitter would have been able to pull in the fact that he was in, Soma in San Francisco. But what's cool about it is that, so you have to turn location on, and in Chrome, I actually had to go into my Chrome preferences and then turn location on there too. So it took me a few tries, at least in Chrome. But there's a little drop-down menu. Right now, it says we're in Petaluma, California. Little drop-down menu, so I click that little arrow. I don't know if you guys can follow along with me. Just use your imagination. But we've got all these choices of places that look a lot like Foursquare or Gowalla, and that's because Twitter has partnered with the two of them to be able. So what you can do, you can be in a location and you can kind of go like, oh yeah, I'm at Carfield's Books, which is just down the street, and it's actually pulling in data from those two places, the locations that have already been created and checked into. But the problem is that it's not working out very well yet. This is a brand new feature, so I'm not going to give Twitter a lot of grief over this. They've had quite a bit of downtime just staying up over the last 24 hours. But there's no Twit Cottage, Tom.
Yes, why is that? When Twit Cottage shows up on Foursquare and Twit Cottage and all these other places around town show up, is it a conspiracy? Are they targeting us?
Well, see, my initial reaction was yes, and let's start a fight.
Of course.
And Leo would probably, he'd have something to say about that. He'd throw his hat in the ring, too, because, of course, My conspiracy theorist mind says Twitter, ooh, maybe there's something sinister going on because people will be confused and think that we're checking in from Twitter. No. That's just wishful thinking for a fight on my part. It's just not. It's not completely functional yet. I mean, my apartment doesn't show up.
Oh, okay. So it's not just the Twit Cottage.
It's not just the Twit Cottage.
But
although I did some investigative journalism trying to figure it out,
digging deep to find out the truth.
So it's a new feature, a new service that is rolling out. It's not perfect yet. In fact, last I tried, the search places functionality wasn't even working.
It's interesting that they're rolling out a new service at the same time that they're actually doing a lot of admitted engineering work, which is why we've had the Twitter outages lately. They're trying to beef up their servers. They're finding more problems than they expected. They've been pretty good at keeping people up to date on their blog about what's going on. Yeah. So you'd think they would hold off on adding new features like this at the same time, but
I think it's also just the whole geolocation thing is so hot that everybody just needs to like turn on their feature. Like, we're doing it too.
Yeah.
So anyway, I look forward to being able to add my geolocation data so my stalkers could find me without me losing any of my 140 character limit.
Greg Sandoval over at CNET reports that according to multiple music industry sources, Google could launch a music service that offers song downloads and streaming music as early as this fall. And what I found most interesting about this story is that the music industry seems to be begging Google to get into this game, especially since Apple bought Lala and shut it down.
Right.
And what do you got? Amazon and MySpace are the only real competitors, and they're not making a big dent in the iTunes juggernaut.
No, I mean, I've bought quite a few albums on Amazon. MySpace, I'm not. MySpace is kind of off my radar, at least for this type of a thing. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting when you would search, like a particular artist or a song on Google. You've got your search results up at the top, and some of the I like stuff is still showing up, at least as early as this morning when I last checked. But you figure, I mean, is that functionality just kind of going to go away? Or, the services have been bought to not let Google have this sort of fun.
So, a Google Music Store, according to this story, might include tying your digital downloads and streaming music to Google search results. So let your imagination run wild. You're searching for song lyrics, and it gives you the chance to buy the song or stream the song right there. That's pretty obvious. But what if it actually knows your library, and it pulls up your songs from your hard drive in the search results that are relevant to whatever you're searching for as well?
It sounds like I have too much music if I'm searching for lyrics of a song I already own.
Right, but you might not know the lyrics.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So there's all kinds of things that Google could do, or contextual search. Give you a chance to buy the song, own it in the cloud, as well as Google's really good at that kind of stuff. Where it's like, hey, you own the song, we'll store a copy for you, so you could get it anytime. You could be on somebody else's machine, logged in as yourself, and be able to play all your music. There's a lot of different ways this could go. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing's for sure is it won't be like iTunes, and I like the idea of that. I mean, iTunes has become this is the way music is, at least when I think about my digital music, so bring it on, Google. Let's see what you got.
And they bought Simplify Media, and they said at Google I/O that they would build Simplify Media's technology into a future version of Android OS. So now tie in the mobile phone aspect of this, and you've got a race for the cloud going on, essentially.
Right.
Are the Android people going to get that cloud music service where all of your music is available on all your devices all the time, or are the iPhone people going to get there first?
Simplify Media is pretty rad. I do a lot of streaming of other people's albums that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, bring it to my phone, and my head will explode.
We don't know if or when we'll see an iTunes.com sort of thing, but race is on. Let's see who wins. If Google's waiting till fall, Apple's waiting till fall, it could get really interesting. Of course, we're all going to lose all our devices sometime around 2013 in the great, huge space storm.
Tom, can you please explain to me what a huge space storm is and why I need to start panicking?
Yes. Every 22 years, sun goes through a cycle where it gets really powerful. Yeah. Every 11 years, there's a sunspot cycle you've heard of, where there's solar flares.
Yes.
In 2013, we're getting both at the same time.
And what's going to happen to us?
Peak solar flares and peak solar energy means a superstorm, according to NASA scientists, causing catastrophic consequences for health, emergency services, national security. Even your very own computer and devices could be affected by this.
Now, when we say affected, does it mean like Y2K bug?
It could be anything from
worries?
like, oh, this is not kind of as responsive as it should be, to burned out, I need to replace it.
That sucks.
Usually scientists are very calm about this stuff. They're like, no, let's not exaggerate the effects of this. No. This time, Dr. Richard Fisher says, we know it's coming, but we don't know how bad it's going to be.
I don't like it when NASA scientists talk like this.
It will disrupt communication devices such as satellites and car navigation, air travel, the banking system, our computers, everything that is electronic. It will cause major problems for the world. Large areas will be without electricity power, and to repair that damage will be hard as that takes time.
This seems like a really, really, really important thing that we should all talk about if the world wasn't already going to end in 2012.
That's true. So by 2013,
let's put this into perspective.
All of these flares will be hitting an
devices?
empty planet.
We won't be here.
Or an evaporated planet.
We're good.
Actually, for all of this rhetoric, it turns out that they are planning for this. Governments are aware of it. National Academy of Sciences warned 2 years ago that power grids need to be up to speed, and so the government has said they've got contingency plans in place. These include allowing for certain transformers at the edge of the national grid to be temporarily switched off to improve voltage levels throughout the network. And the National Risk Register, established in 2008, identifies different dangers in the country of Britain. Different countries have their own sort of preparation. So
that offers a little hope. Hey, if we know something's coming.
Yeah, we need to start paying attention to this, so then in a couple of years we can...
We've got 3 years, people.
Wrap our computers in tinfoil or whatever it is we'll need to do.
I'll do what I got to do. Just give me a heads up. When the solar storm comes, I'll be ready.
And finally, Jammerby, we're definitely going to want to show this one. A Verizon MiFi surgically implanted in an iPad to create the world's first bionic tablet. That's the headline on Engadget.com. And essentially what this guy did was take a MiFi, split open his 3G iPad, removed the AT&T modem, and installed the circuit board out of the MiFi into the iPad's battery, hooked it up, borrowed the AT&T antenna for hotspot range, and created an iPad that has Verizon 3G and is also a hotspot.
Right. And this is just sort of the way that the innards look, but the article also has pictures of the iPad itself put back together. Because at first, the first picture I saw, I went,
when you see that picture, you're like, I don't want that.
Yeah, no.
But no, once you get it back together, it looks just like a normal iPad.
It looks great. Now you got a hotspot.
Yeah.
It's the perfect iPad.
It is, exactly.
Your warranty will no longer be valid. GPS will no longer work, but otherwise, it's a wonderful little device. So good work. Every so often, a little hack job turns into a little piece of magic.
Let's check the calendar. Becky was telling us on a previous Tech News Today about the free T-Mobile phones. What's up with that?
Yeah, so this is officially June 19th. So mark your calendar if you want a T-Mobile phone for free and you don't mind new activation that requires you to commit for 2 years. I have to say, from my T-Mobile days, my service was always very good. Good customer service and good coverage. Yeah, I was actually kind of sad to get rid of my BlackBerry Pearl back in the day because I liked T-Mobile so much when I switched over to an iPhone. So limit 5 lines per family plan, still pretty reasonable. And there's mail-in rebate and restrictions that apply, but it's
all the normal stuff, right?
Yeah, free phones, June 19th. So if there's something that you've got your eye on and it's T-Mobile related, get your butt down to the mall. Something like that.
Also got a new announcement from Motorola, Verizon, and Adobe, for some reason, is involved with this. In New York on June 23rd, they'll be announcing the next generation of Droid.
Now, what kind of Droid do you think this is going to be, Tom?
Speculation is Droid 2, maybe Droid X. So this is the next in line after the Incredible.
So, and people who are really, really happy with their Incredible phones... And I don't have one myself, but I know that it is a popular model. I mean, is this sort of just the latest in the like the upgrades that won't die? So if you got an Incredible that's so great, then there's just a more Incredible that's happening on June 23rd.
Maybe June 23rd they'll announce the Incredibler.
The Incredible, yeah. You can't say Incrediblist because on July 23rd there's probably going to be that.
Right.
Incredibler.
Yeah. Incredible. And of course, the iPhone comes on June 24th.
What's that?
I don't know. Onto the voicemails. 260-TNT show is the phone number, and we have a question today about the nature of bandwidth. Let's listen.
With Reuters reporting that Sprint is lowering caps, AT&T is lowering their data limits on cell phone users, it does come the question, and really, TNT guys, is bandwidth possibly unlimited, or can it be scarce? Which is it?
Bandwidth can be scarce locally.
Right.
And that's what's happening with your cell phone carriers, is they're saying we don't have enough bandwidth in our network.
Right.
But bandwidth on the backbone, the Minnesota internet people have said over and over and over, there's plenty of bandwidth in existence. We just need better ways to get it to people.
Yeah. It's sectioned off in very inconvenient ways depending on where you live.
It's to the curb, or I guess in wireless, it's
so in
to
theory,
your head.
It is limitless. In reality,
it's not limitless, I guess, but
there are limits.
it's plentiful.
It's plentiful.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bandwidth to go around.
Bountiful bandwidth.
It's just not being used effectively.
Yeah. On to the emails to TNT@twit.tv. Our first one comes from Paul, or I'm sorry, wait, yes?
John.
No, yes, this is from John. I have a hard time with this doc sometimes. John, the security and government's chap in London, says, from a security perspective, the real issues with the AT&T iPad breach exposed are there's obviously no security review in AT&T's development process, or they wouldn't have allowed this open query over the web without engineering some basic security in the system. And number two, the system at AT&T had no checks in it that should have thrown up an alert when the same URL was hit many thousands of times with incorrect ICC-ID, or even just many thousands of hits from the same IP address. If this had been designed and coded competently, either of these should have generated a security alert. He goes on to say, the risk is small from this hack, but viable. It allows an attacker in possession of the email list to send the iPad users specifically targeted weaponized email. He says, no, I don't like the term either, but that's what people call it. They know the user is an iPad user. There are bound to be some zero-day vulnerabilities for Safari on the iPad. Goatsy has actually described a few of those. A carefully crafted email to the user to get the user to click on a link leading to a web page with an iPad-specific compromise would be really easy. So, he's basically bearing up what we said, which is unlikely, but scary.
Right.
So you might want to, I don't know, if you're really worried about this, ask for a SIM card swap.
Yeah, and he's also kind of saying, listen, AT&T, I mean, they really just sort of swept some stuff under the rug as far as security, just little checks that they could have made that they didn't.
Yep.
So there you go.
Calling them to task.
Thanks, John, the governance chap in London. Next email, is this one from Paul? Yes. This one's from Paul. Hi, Paul, again. He's the Simple Loving Brit in Hawaii, so 2 British emails today. Hi, guys. Was listening to yesterday's show, and I was a little surprised how positive you took the rule changes for iOS that Apple announced. If anything, we've taken a huge step backwards here instead of forwards. The previous wording was straightforward, clear, and easy to understand. If it wasn't Apple's API using Objective-C, C, or C++, it wasn't getting in. Now, however, developers are suddenly back to playing guessing games, requiring approval in writing from Apple for anything outside of that. Minor features even. How do you define minor features? Now, Paul finds it hard to conceive that frameworks such as Unity 3D could even be interpreted as minor. It already takes a while to get an app approved for the store. Everyone knows that. That's true. We don't disagree with you, Paul. Adding the requirement to get permission in advance in writing is going to add even more workload for the Apple staff, too. He adds, adding these vague terms just strikes me as Apple trying to dodge a regulatory bullet or two. That said, app developers are like the Hydra. Chop off one head, 2 more spring up in their place. Very good point. I mean, from day one, you've been hearing about developers going, what is going on with the approval process back there? We don't even understand where our guidelines are. So I guess, you make the rules a little bit murkier, then it does confuse people.
It's going to make some people upset because it's like speed limits. They think, well, what's the real rule, right?
Yeah.
When am I really going to get in trouble?
I'm always saying if I'm 9 miles or less over the speed limit, I'm fine.
You shouldn't be.
That is really
that's legal, right?
bad logic.
Yeah, I know.
It shouldn't be.
Exactly.
though I still think.
And also getting permission in writing ahead of time. That's very efficient.
True. Yeah.
All right, folks, we've been meaning to talk about this. We've had a lot of folks complaining that they don't get the video version of Tech News Today until the next morning, and we apologize for that. We're working hard to reduce that turnaround time as much as possible. It's just the process for encoding the video and getting it pushed to the servers and getting it up that makes it take so long. We do feel that the news we're talking about, if you're watching it in the morning the next day, is still relevant.
Sure.
Because this is afternoon news and it's a lot of the same stuff you'll hear talked about in the morning anyway. But it is our intention to get TNT turned around as fast as possible so you can get it exactly the same day. The audio's turned around pretty fast.
Yeah, that's another thing to keep in mind, too, is that video, of course, if you want to watch video, that's just going to take longer. But if you're doing a commute and the audio is something that you're interested in, that comes up a good 2 hours in advance of the video.
Less than 2 hours.
Less than 2 hours.
So you're definitely, if it's important to get the information the same day and you're like, I don't really care about the video, you can get the audio the same day for sure. But all of that aside, it is our intention to keep pushing until we get this turnaround time cut down as small as possible.
Eventually,
and Jammer B can attest, we're working on that really hard. Absolutely.
Eventually, the video downloads will come out before the live stream. That is the ultimate goal.
That is the goal, right?
You looked at me like, Sarah, that doesn't make sense.
I was like, no, that's right. That's what we want.
Future streaming.
Exactly. We want you to be able to watch the show before we do it.
And then when it's live,
that's
just play the replay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So then we don't even have to come in.
We don't actually do anything.
Right.
We just
the show
collect
just
a
makes
check
itself.
and eat our chocolate.
Right.
It's a beautiful world.
That's the plan.
That's the plan
that we're working on.
Yeah. So, expect that in the fall.
All right, folks, don't forget you can find out all about this show at our website, twit.tv/TNT. That's where we put up the links to the wiki. If you want the show notes and the links to the things we talk about, that's how you can get to that. We also have an email address. Email us, tnt@twit.tv. And our phone number is 260-TNT show. That's 260-868-7469. It reaches our home office in Butler, Indiana. We'll see you next time.